Desire withers in the absence of fulfillment. Like a plant deprived of sunlight, the more it is neglected, the harder it becomes to nourish. What once burned with passion can cool into complacency. The less the fire is stoked, the more it struggles to ignite. Intimacy thrives on connection, but when it's neglected, the need for it fades. Distance grows where closeness once was a priority. Asterisk. Like an instrument left unplayed, desire fades when ignored. Without the rhythm of touch, the melody of passion falls silent. Sexuality, when unattended, can become a whisper instead of a shout. The longer it goes unheard, the quieter it becomes. The mind and body forget the rhythms of intimacy when left alone too long. The desire to dance that once pulsed fades into stillness. Appetite wanes when it is left unfed. What once consumed you with want now passes quietly, like hunger dulled by time. The body adapts to absence slowly, forgetting what it once craved. The need for intimacy shrinks in the shadow of neglect. Desire is a muscle, and when it's not used, it atrophies. The less it's exercised, the weaker it becomes until it's barely felt. Connection fades when the body grows accustomed to distance. The touch that once sparked joy now feels like a faint memory. Passion, when deprived, becomes dormant. The longer it sleeps, the harder it is to awaken. Physical love is like water to a parched soul, but without it the thirst eventually fades, leaving behind only dry acceptance. The less intimacy you experience, the more foreign it feels. Distance breeds unfamiliarity, and desire becomes a distant stranger. Desire is fleeting if it's not pursued. The less you reach for it, the more distant it becomes until it slips through your fingers. The flame of passion dims when it's neglected, flickering only faintly in the background. Over time, it becomes a shadow of what it once was. Without the warmth of touch, the body cools. What once was fervor now grows cold in the absence of affection. What begins as absence soon turns into indifference. When the body is left untouched, desire fades into the background, a faint echo. The spark of desire dims slowly until it's barely visible. The less it's kindled, the more it becomes a faint glow lost in the darkness. Sexual intimacy, when ignored, becomes a quiet yearning, and eventually, even the yearning fades into silence. Cravings for connection dwindle when the heart and body are left unattended. Desire fades into the background, barely noticeable. A body and touch becomes a heart, and felt. The less you engage, the more you withdraw, until distance becomes your new normal. The longer desire is ignored, the less it shouts for attention. What was once a firestorm becomes a flicker barely visible in the night. Distance breeds apathy when it comes to passion. The less it is fed, the quieter it becomes, until even silence feels like peace. Neglect dims desire slowly until what once burned brightly is a small, smoldering ember. The longer it's untouched, the less it wants to be. Intimacy is a flame, and when you stop feeding it, it flickers out. The less It burns the less you miss its warmth. The rhythm of connection fades when left untouched. The body forgets what it longed for, and the mind grows quiet in its absence. The less you seek out passion, the less it finds you. What once was desire becomes a distant memory. What once felt like hunger now feels like apathy. The absence of intimacy dulls the edge of need, making desire a shadow of its former self. Desire, when left unfed, fades into the background, becoming less of a need and more of an afterthought. Like a candle without oxygen, passion fades. When neglected, the less it burns, the easier it is to forget it was ever there. The body forgets what it was once familiar with. The longer you go without, the less you miss the touch that you used to ignite you. The space between bodies grows wider. When intimacy is rare, what was once close now feels far. Has desire loses its grip. Without attention, desire becomes like a star in a distant galaxy, faint, unreachable, and easy to forget. The less love is made, the less it is sought. Distance makes it easier to let go of the need for closeness. Time without intimacy dulls the need for it. The less you have, the easier it is to convince yourself you don't want it anymore. The body and mind forget what they do not often taste. Over time, the hunger for passion dwindles until it feels like a distant ache. Desire is a fire that must be stoked. Without attention, it dims, and the warmth it once provided fades into the cold. The silence between two bodies grows louder. When touch is absent, over time the noise of desire becomes a faint whisper. Without the closeness of another, the body forgets what it craves. The less it's given, the less it yearns. Sexual energy diminishes when left untouched. The less it is called upon, the less it responds. The more you deny the body its desires, the quieter those desires become. Over time, even the yearning grows tired and fades. Intimacy is a habit, and when it is broken, it takes effort to rebuild. The less you engage, the less you feel the need to. Absence creates a void, but over time, that void feels normal. The less you touch, the less you crave the touch of another. What starts as a lack of intimacy soon turns into a lack of need. The body grows accustomed to its own company, and desire fades away. The desire for closeness fades when it's not nurtured. Without touch, the body learns to live without it, and the heart grows quiet. A cold bed becomes comforting after a while. The less you share it, the less you feel the absence of warmth. When desire is ignored, it becomes quieter and quieter until its voice is nothing but a distant echo in your mind. Sexuality, when untouched, fades into the background of life. What once felt urgent becomes a quiet hum you barely notice. The body forgets what it does not regularly experience. The longer you go without, the more distant the need becomes.